Hello students, so today we will be starting with another new topic. The new topic name is Nomadic Empires Part 2. In the previous class we have already studied about and we have discussed about the Nomadic Empires Part 1, about Genghis Khan we have discussed, and about his social and political background, and now we will be understanding about the career of Genghis Khan and also how Genghis Khan after his death actually made out or continued with his own empire. So today we will be discussing more about the nomadic empire, and this chapter is present in the class 11 book of history. So let us discuss more regarding the nomadic empires. So here we will be discussing about the Mongols after Genghis Khan. You see, Genghis Khan already died in the year 1227. Afterwards, what had happened? What was the aftermath? You see, we can divide the Mongol expansion after Genghis Khan's death into two distinct phases. The first spanned the years 1236 to 42, when the major gains were in the Russian steppes, Bulgar, Kiev, Poland and Hungary. The second phase includes the years 1255 to 1300, led to the conquest of all China, Iran, Iraq and Syria. The empire stabilized after this campaign. Now, if I talk about Mongol expansion, the Mongol expansion after Genghis Khan was divided into two phases. The first phase is actually considered from 1236 to 1242. There was the major gains, which means there was the more expansion of the empire, such as the Russian steppes, Bulgar, Kiev, Poland and Hungary. Those were the countries which were being annexed from 1236 to 1242. And the second phase comes from 1255 to 1300. The second phase comes to 1255 to 1300, led to the conquest, led to the annexation of the China, Iran, Iraq and Syria. The Mongolian empire actually stabilized after this campaigns. After these two phases only, the Mongolian empire actually being stabilized. But afterwards, what had happened? There were two facets with the emergence of the political threat. The first was the consequence of internal politics of succession within the Mongol family, where the descendants of Joshi Ogode allied to control the office of the Great Khan in the first two generations. Now we will be understanding about the Ulus system. Very, very important, how the empire was being divided among the four sons of Genghis Khan. You see, the first was the consequence of internal politics. Now the internal politics of the Mongolian family was being decided or was being maintained by the Joshi and Ogode. Joshi and Ogode, which were the two sons of Genghis Khan, used to maintain the internal politics of the empire, first of all, and second of all, it was elite to control the office of the Great Khan. Now you see, if I talk about Joshi and Ogode, they were the two main sons, and they used to actually maintain all the politics, the internal politics they used to maintain, and also on the other hand they used to control the office of the Great Khan. Most of the important works were being controlled by Joshi and Ogode. The second compulsion occurred as Joshi and Ogode lineages were marginalized by the Toluyid branch of the Genghis Khanid descendants, with the accession of Monge, a descendant of Tolu, Genghis Khan's youngest son. Military campaigns were pursued energetically in Iran during the 1250s. But the second compulsion, you see, during that time, during the second compulsion, the Toluid dynasty is there, which means the Toloi was the youngest son of Genghis Khan. The youngest son of Genghis Khan was becoming more powerful. As a result, what had happened? The descendants of the Ogode and Joshi, was being marginalized, which means they were being ignored. They were being declined to power. Why? Because Toloi was coming into power. The descendants of Toloi was coming into power. The descendants of Toloi was also known as the Toluid branch or the Toluid descendants of Genghis Khan. Also, on the other hand, with the accession of Monge, a descendant of Toloi, Genghis Khan's youngest son, military campaigns were pursued energetically. Very, very important. After the accession of Monge, this is the place with the accession of Monge when the Monge was annexed. When the Monge was annexed or was under the control of the Toluid dynasty, what had happened during that time? They became more energetic and they pursued to Iran. That time they have annexed Iran during the year 1250s. You see how the youngest son was coming into power and was actually marginalizing the Joshi and the Ogode dynasty. Also, but as Ptolemaic interest in the conquest of China increased during the 1260, forces and supplies were increasingly diverted into the heartlands of the Mongol dominion. Now you see, here you see, if I talk about the Ptolemaic interest was much comprised in China. The Ptolemaic interest was getting China. So as a result, what had happened? Those were the forces and supply were increasingly diverted at the heartlands of the Mongolian dominion, which means at the heartlands of the Mongolian dominion. At the heartlands of the Mongolian dominion only, the resources are being divided, which means the resources are being divided among the sons itself. Now, Ptolemaic dynasty are becoming more powerful. So, as a result, what had happened? Most of the resources were going to Ptolemaic interests itself. You see, they have annexed China. They have come into the conquest of China during the year 1260. So, as a result, the forces and supplies were being divided, and also on the other hand, their resources are being diverted on the heartlands of the Mongolian dynasty. As a result, the Mongols fielded a small, understaffed force against the Egyptian military. Their defeat and the increasing preoccupation with China of the Ptolemaic family marked the end of the western expansion of the Mongols. Concurrently, conflict between the Joseid and Ptolemaic descendants along the Russian-Iranian frontier diverted the Joseids away from the further European campaigns. Now come the third result. You see, the third result, what had happened when the Mongols were trying to annex European, that time only it was coming to an end, which means the Mongols fielded a small and understaffed forces. During that time, when they were about to annex the Europe, when they were about to annex the European country, what had happened? They had very small force. They have very small military force, and their defeat was unavoidable. It was inevitable. They will be defeated actually. So it was inevitable. So as a result, what had happened? The Ptolemaic family marked the end of the western expansion of the Mongols, which means when they were actually coming to expand the western countries, they actually came to an end. After the expansion of the western countries also, they came to an end, which means they were unable to expand the western countries, which means they will not be able to go to the western countries. As a result, that was an end to the Ptolemaic dynasty, you can say. Also, concurrently, conflict between the Joseid and Ptolemaic descendants along the Russian-Iranian frontier diverted the Joseids away from the further European campaigns. Now, there was a conflict. There was the conflict between the Joseid and Ptolemaic dynasty. There was a conflict between the Joseid and Ptolemaic dynasty. As a result, what had happened? They were unable to annex Europe. They were unable to annex Europe, and slowly, the Joseids were being marginalized. The Joseids were being marginalized, and they were unsuccessful in the European campaign. I hope so. This is clear. And here you see the greatest Mongol empire. So during that time, how much they have annexed. First, you see Mongol is here. The Mongolia country is here, and they have actually annexed the whole of China. Oh, the Mongolian country, yeah. The Mongolian country is here. I'm so sorry. The Mongolian country is here. Again, let me repeat. First comes the Mongolian Empire. You see, the Mongolia country is here. The Mongolia country is here. Slowly, they have annexed China. Also, the northern parts of India, they have annexed as well. And also the other parts of the Russia there. Means half of the Russia is under the Mongolian Empire. You see, this was one of the most largest empire during that time. You see, the third largest empire is the Mongolian Empire. First comes second comes the British Empire. Second comes the British Empire. I think so. The first comes the Chandragupta Empire. Maybe I'm not sure. Chandragupta Empire may come second, but third comes the Mongolian Empire. You see how much they have annexed. They have annexed China as well, the northern parts of India as well, the whole Russia as well, and some of the western parts of Europe also they have annexed. And this is the whole of China, and this is the whole of Russia. You see Siberia, Moscow, these are all under the Mongolian Empire. They have annexed the vast empire during that time, during the 1259. This is the map of the 1259 AD, the Mongol Empire. You can see how big it is. How big it is. I hope so. You have took a look on the map, and now we will be understanding about Genghis Khan and his military expansion. This is one of the most important part. Among the Mongols and many other nomadic societies as well, all the able bodies, adult males of the tribe bore army. They constituted armed forces when the occasion demanded. The unification of the different Mongol tribes and subsequent campaigns against diverse people introduced new members into Genghis Khan's army, complicating the composition of the relatively small undifferentiated body into the incredibly heterogeneous mass of people. You see, if I talk about the Mongol people, they were the nomadic people first of all, and there were a lot of differences among the people in the Mongolian Empire. First of all, if I talk about the army was the most important part of the Mongolian Empire. Though there was the unity, but there were different diversities of people under the Mongolian Empire. Also, on the other hand, under the Genghis Khan army, there was a complicating situation regarding the composition of people. Why? Because there were different tribes entering into the army. Also, there were undifferentiated body, and as a result, it was creating a heterogeneous mass of people. It was actually creating a heterogeneous mass of people. Second, Genghis Khan's army was organized according to the old steppe system of the decimal units. It has been organized according to the old steppe system of the decimal units in division of tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000 soldiers. Very, very important. First of all, the Genghis Khan's army was being divided according to the old steppe system. It was being divided according to the old steppe system, which means according to the numbers of tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000 soldiers. In the old system, the clan and the tribe have coexisted with the decimal units. Genghis Khan stopped this practice and divided the old tribal groupings and distributed their members into new military units. You see, during that time, they have divided the soldiers into 10, thousands, hundreds, but slowly, slowly it was converting into decimal units and it was creating a problem, which means it was not being popular during that time and it was not at all consistent. To make the army more consistent, he has actually declined the old system. The old steppe system was actually declined, and as a result, the new members were being included in the new military units. Their members were being included in the new military units. Tribal groupings were being done. How? Any individual who tried to move from their allotted group without permission received harsh punishment. The largest unit soldier, approximately 10,000 of different tribes and clans now included into the fragmented groups of people, providing a new identity by integrating different lineages and clans. Now, you see, he has made a new military unit. A new military unit is made among the numbers of tens or thousand maybe. There are total 10,000 soldiers. Now, if one gets out of the group, and comes to the another group, then they will be receiving the harsh punishment. There are several rules and provisions that were being provided by the Genghis Khan itself, which means if you want to work into the military unit, if you want to be under the military unit, you have to follow certain guidelines as being followed by Genghis Khan itself. Also, on the other hand, if anyone goes out of the group, then severe punishment will be received by that soldier. Also, on the other hand, there were different tribes. In the 10,000 group of soldiers, there were different tribes, there were different clans, which means a heterogeneous group of people were included into the clan, and a new identity by integrating different lineages and clans. You see, new identity has been provided. Though a new identity has been provided, but there were different lineages and clans. A new military contingents were required to serve his four sons and specially chosen captain of his army units called Noan. Very, very important. Now there were chosen captain. You see, if I talk about Genghis Khan has four sons. Those four sons will be having their own military units. Those four sons will be protected by their own military units, and the leader of those military units are known as the Noyan. The leader of those military units are known as the Noyan, and they will be actually being elected by a special force. Genghis Khan honored some of the individual as his blood brothers Anda, and yet others of special ranking as his bondman Noker, a title that marked their close relationship with their master. Now Genghis Khan actually honored some of the individual. Genghis Khan actually considered some of his individual as blood brothers. Now blood brothers are known as Anda. Blood brothers are known as Anda, and some are of special ranking. Some are of special ranking known as the bondsmen, also known as knocker. So, a title marked their close relationship with their master. During that time, emperor used to give a particular title to the particular individual so that close relationship can be maintained, or you can say close relationship can be found out among the people during that time. You see, if I talk about Genghis Khan, first of all, Genghis Khan has conquered a vast empire, and second of all, he was known to be the most powerful emperor and the most disciplined emperor during that time. Also, you see, in the new hierarchy, Genghis Khan assigned the responsibility of governing the newly conquered people to his four sons. This comprised Khan's lifetime with rapid conquest and expanding dominance, where frontiers were still extremely fluid. Now, if I talk about Genghis Khan, then Genghis Khan has assigned a lot of responsibility to the four sons itself, and those four sons were being actually being protected by their own military units first of all, and also this comprised Khan's lifetime to the rapid conquest and expanding dominance. Now, if I talk about Genghis Khan has already been busy with his own conquest and expanding campaign and expanding campaigns as well. Now, you see how he has maintained his four sons and how his four sons were given different jobs according to their own preference. You see, if I talk about the responsibility of governing the newly conquered people. Now, the responsibility, Genghis Khan has actually divided the responsibility to his four sons so that the newly conquered members of the army can actually be managed by his four sons. First comes the eldest son Joshi, very very important. First comes the eldest son Joshi. Now, if I talk about Joshi here, Joshi received the Russian steppes, but the farthest extent of his territory, Ulus, was undeterminate and was extended far west at his horses could roam. Now, here the eldest son. If I talk about the eldest son Joshi actually got the Russian steppes, and most of the part of the Russian steppes was under the eldest son Joshi itself. Also, most of the part has been extended to the west so that he can graze with the horses. You see, according to his preference, only the Russian steppes were being given to him. And second comes the Chagatai. Chagatai was the second son of Genghis Khan. You see, was given the Texonian steppe and lands near the north of the Pamir mountains adjacent to those of his brother. This lands would shift as Joshi marched west. Now, the second son Chagatai was given the Taxoceanian steppe. The Taxoceanian steppe is quite near the Russian fields itself, or near the Russian steppe. So, and the lands of the north of the Pamir mountains, which means the Pamir mountains. The Pamir mountains are also under Chagatai. Also, on the other hand, it is adjacent to his brother. Adjacent to his brother means this is the Russian steppe and quite near the Pamir mountains. The Pamir mountains belong to Chagatai. Here it belongs to Joshi, which means the eldest son, and here it belongs to Chagatai. And it is quite adjacent. You can see it is quite adjacent. In this way only it is being divided. And third comes regarding Genghis Khan had indicated his third son Ogode, who succeeded him as the great Khan, and the accession of the prince established his capital at Kodakaram. Now, the capital of Kodakaram was under Ogode. Ogode was the third son and also is known as the succession, which means after Genghis Khan, he will become the king itself as declared by the king. As a result, he will be succeeding to the throne and he will be considered to be the great Khan after Genghis Khan. And he has been established the capital of Karakoram, which means the capital of Karakoram was under Ogode, and Ogode was the third son. And fourth comes the youngest son Tolu. Tolu received the ancestral lands of Mongolia. Genghis Khan envisaged that his sons would rule the empire collectively, and military contingents of the individual prince were placed in each ulus. Now, if I talk about the youngest son Tolu, actually got the ancestral lands of the Mongolian Empire. The ancestral lands were under the Mongolian Empire. So as a result, you see, if I talk about the empire itself, Genghis Khan always dreamt that his sons will be collectively ruling his own empire. You see how the four sons were being divided into their own empire. I hope so this is clear. Genghis Khan had already fashioned a rapid courier system that connected the distant areas of his regime. Fresh mounts and dispatch riders were placed in outposts at regular spaced distance. For the maintenance of his communication system, the Mongol nomads contributed a tenth of their herd either horses or livestock as provision. Now you see a rapid courier system. A rapid courier system was actually being introduced by Genghis Khan, so that from the distant places also they can keep connection, which means fresh mounts and dispatch riders were placed in outposts at regular spaced distances. For the maintenance of this communication system, the Mongol nomads contributed a tenth of their herd of their horses or livestock. Now the rapid courier system must be paid by the people who wants to use the courier system. So as a result, the Mongol nomads, if the Mongol nomads want to use the courier system, a tenth of their livestock, a tenth of their means one tenth of their livestock. Yes, one tenth of their livestock will be given to the Genghis Khan Empire. One tenth of the livestock of those Mongolian nomads who want to use the courier system will be provided to the Genghis Khan, so that they can use the courier system. You see, it is used as the provision. This was called the covert tax, a levy that nomads pay willingly for the multiple benefits. You see, the rapid courier system, also known as the covert tax. The covert tax, it has multiple benefits. It has multiple benefits. A tax which is known as the covert tax as a levy was being paid by the nomadic people itself, the nomadic people of the Mongol, and the amount is one tenth of the livestock to Genghis Khan Empire itself, so that they can get multiple benefits. The courier system was being used. It is also known as the covert tax. Now, the courier system YAM was further refined after Genghis Khan's death, and its speed and reliability surprised travelers. Now, as it was known as the covert tax before, but afterwards it was refined into YAM. Another new name was given. The new name was known as the YAM. It may come in your MCQ. What is the courier system which was being introduced by Genghis Khan? It is known as YAM. You see, after Genghis Khan's death only, the covert tax was converted into YAM. It is a courier system, and it was being much refined by Genghis Khan. After the death of Genghis Khan itself, it was much being refined. So as a result, its speeds and reliability was very much surprising to the travelers itself. And the courier system was much being used by the travelers. Why? Because there were multiple benefits, and the speed and reliability was also very much faster in comparison to the other facilities. You see, today we have understood regarding the eldest son Joshi, the second son Chagatai, the third son Ogode, and the fourth son Tolu. Also, we have understood about the rapid courier system, which is known as the YAM. I hope so this is clear. Now, here we will be understanding about the family tree of Genghis Khan. This is one of the important. You see, most of the students get confused regarding the Genghis Khan family or the Genghis Khan descendants. So, we will be understanding about Genghis Khan. You see here the Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, the birth name was Temujin. The birth name was Temujin. Yes, Temujin. Temujin or Temujin, and he was known as the great Khan of the Mongolian Empire. Here comes the Joshi Khan. Joshi Khan was the eldest son of the Genghis Khan, and second comes the Chagatai Khan. Chagatai Khan was the second son, and here comes which will be known as the second Khan, or you can say the second great Khan after Genghis Khan was Ogode. Ogode was actually given the opportunity to become the great Khan after Genghis Khan's death. And fourth comes the Toloi Khan. Toloi Khan means, as I have told you about the Toluid dynasty. The Toluid dynasty at last became more powerful and marginalized the Joshi and Ogode empire. So here you see, if I talk about Toloi Khan, he was known to be the youngest son. He was known to be the youngest son of Genghis Khan. And now here, Joshi Khan. Under Joshi Khan, it was known as the Golden Horde. It is known as the Golden Horde, and under him, he has actually annexed Batu, Barke, and many of the countries were under him. Yes. Oh no, Golden Horde. Yes, he's like, you know, during his time, it was known as the Golden Horde. Means under the empire of Joshi Khan, it was known as Golden Horde, and his sons were Batu and Barki. He has two sons. Chagatai has actually no sons, but his empire is known as the Chagatai Khanate. Chagatai Khanate, and Ogode Khan. Ogode Khan has one son known as the Guyuk Khan, and third Khan. Yes. You see, first comes the great Khan Genghis Khan, second comes Ogode Khan, and the third Khan was known to be as the Guyuk Khan. He was the son of Ogode Khan. And here Tolu Khan. Tolu Khan has one son known as the Monge Khan. He was known as the fourth Khagan. And here under Tolu Khan, it is known as the Yuan dynasty. Under the Toloi Khan, it is known as the Yuan dynasty. You see, they have their own dynasty. The Golden Horde is there, Chagatai Khanate is there, and the Yuan dynasty. The Yuan dynasty comes under Toloi Khan, and you see Kublai Khan. Kublai Khan was the son of the Toloi Khan. This is the family tree of the Genghis Khan. But the most important thing you have to learn is about Joshi Khan, about Chagatai Khan, about Ogode Khan, and about Tolu. And here their sons come. The Joshi Khan actually kingdom is known as the Golden Horde, or he's a buyer. The Chagatai Khanate under the Chagatai Khan, and here Goyuk Khan. Goyuk Khan was the son of the Ogode Khan, and Monge Khan. Here Monge Khan comes, which is the son of the Toloi Khan, and also here Kublai Khan. Kublai Khan belongs from the Yuan dynasty. The Yuan dynasty was actually from the Toluid dynasty. The Yuan dynasty comes from the Toluid dynasty. So here, this is the family tree of the Genghis Khan. I hope so you are clear regarding the family tree of the Genghis Khan. So today we have understood the brief career of Genghis Khan and how Genghis Khan actually maintained his dynasty, first of all. And second of all, we have understood that how his dynasty was being divided among his four sons, and how and what kind of dynasty the four sons actually received from his father. And here we have also understood about the family tree of the Genghis Khan. So if you want to know any of the courses regarding our institute, then you can contact us in this number 8638391721 as it has been given on the screen itself. And thank you for watching my video.